Hello viewers, followers, friends, etc. It's Francis Jeffrey coming to you again from Delphi, Indiana. I'm here today doing videos about the Monenhigh Bridge as well as what took place on the trail there a number of years ago, and I also had to stop by this park which I believe is called Abby and Libby Memorial Park, which was built in honor of the two murder victims supposedly murdered by Richard Allen on the Monenhigh Bridge. So this is a nice park. Obviously it's not Grand Canyon National Park, but for an area like this, it's a nice place to take your kids and just enjoy Delphi, Indiana. Both of these playgrounds were built in the two girls' honor. Moments ago, I was actually about 40 feet away from here on the grass using my 18 to 200 millimeter zoom lens to take photos of that complex down there with the pointy looking playground equipment in the foreground, because a freight train was coming through the area, and I thought, wow, photos of this would definitely visually communicate the idea of a good place to work and a safe place to live all in one image, because I'm assuming a lot of people work there, and additionally Delphi is a safe place to live and good place to raise your kids, because it's like a safe haven. And so the playground equipment helps to tell the story of this being a good place to raise your kids. Maybe later in the video I'll pull out the DSLR camera that I used to take those photos and show all of you viewers those photos. They will be on my 500px account eventually. I love that American flag. I just wish it were in a place that would make it easier to take a landscape photo of that playground equipment and have the American flag be juxtaposed with it in that photograph. You see, if that flag were literally right next to that bright brownish looking tent, you could get a very interesting juxtaposed photograph of the American flag with both the playground equipment as well as that industrial complex in the background there, which would communicate what American suburban life is like, because this is clearly a suburban area and also there's a gigantic workplace behind it, so it's like it would tell the idea of the average work life for American suburbanites who just want a safe neighborhood to raise their kids. Especially because it looks far enough away that for all the viewer knew it could be in a city. I know that it's not in Indianapolis because we're not even in Lafayette yet, but still, from that vantage point by itself in a photograph, it would look like that could be the case, and so a photograph like that would still tell the same story. But instead, the American flag is where it is. Somebody left a water jug on the picnic benches. Technically, if business was functioning at that facility right there, this could be an interesting landscape shot. But it's not. This scenery is kind of an interesting photograph, but not interesting enough for me to stop the video and photograph it, etc. It's just interesting because of how the eye flow here leads throughout the scenery, and that complex in the background helps to add a deep depth of field, which is oftentimes necessary in landscape photos. I used to love these things as a kid. This is also a moderately interesting photograph. Here the workplace looks close enough that it looks possible that this could be a break area for employees to have their lunch break. And here comes another train. Maybe it's an Amtrak train. I do know that they do stop in Indianapolis, but a lot more Amtrak trains stop out on the East Coast where I'm from. There's an interesting way to record that bird. Yep, it's a freight train. And here is a baseball diamond of some sort. That would be a very interesting perspective to photograph that playground from if it weren't for the water spigot. Just study the composition of the scenery for a minute and figure out why that is. I don't want to tell you all right now. I want to keep going here. Wow, that's actually an interesting perspective to photograph that tree from. It's interesting how it looks like the train tracks are supporting that tree in the background, and then you've got symmetry in the foreground due to the evergreen trees. That is also not a terrible perspective to photograph that playground from. You see, this is what scouting out locations is like. Professionally trained photographers like myself do this stuff just to look around locations and streets and parks, etc., to see if there's anything at those locations worth photographing, and then make a judgment based on what the lighting scenario is as to what time you should come back in the future for photos, or if you should come back in the future for photos. I still haven't seen the courthouse yet, but that might be a separate trip. So if I don't see the courthouse today, then I might actually come back to this location again at some point, because I might want to photograph the courthouse if I ever see the courthouse and think it's interesting. What a nice job these people did putting up parks in honor of those two girls that were murdered on the Monon High Bridge by Richard Allen. It is such a shame that that happened. Of course, Richard Allen is on trial, so technically we don't yet know what the verdict is. But I believe he's guilty. Well, in this part of the park, I don't think that there's much to photograph. That's kind of an interesting shot. Not worth coming all the way back here from South Bend just to photograph, though. Now, remember that part of the reason I'm doing this is because I got thinking that this year for Halloween it might be a good idea to have some photos of this area of Delphi for my 500px account, because obviously The Monon High Bridge is now famous because something scary happened on that bridge. This is a moderately interesting perspective to photograph this playground equipment from. That's because the triangular thing is juxtaposed with that red tree, which is in front of a red building. But the street lights are all distracting elements, and so it's not like a perfect scene to photograph. I'm gonna end the video right when I walk up to that sign which memorializes Abby and Libby. And once again, God bless the souls of Abby and Libby and both of their families, as well as Richard Allen's family. And I pray to God that if Richard Allen gets found not guilty, that the right person will go to prison. And of course, just like everyone else, I want justice in this case. Alright. Abby and Libby, God bless you both. I'm sure that the planet was a better place with both of you alive. Bye-bye.